Hey everyone and welcome. Well, a conversation in the Houses of Parliament has pretty much proved to me what I've always suspected, and that is Labour is a party of Islamofascism. Now, if you don't believe me, this was Zara Sultana as she's demanding a de-escalation of the violence in Israel and the West.
And I do believe that we have rotten politics, and I'm not using that as an exaggeration.
Now, before I go into this, I would like to just state my intentions and my skin in the game. I have none. Don't care for either side. All I care about is my nation. And she should be representing people of my nation, not the Middle East. But let's have a listen to what she says.
Past mistakes in the Middle East should have taught this House that military intervention starting out as limited can quickly escalate, risking a sequence of events far larger and more terrible and risk even dragging us into war. It is for this reason, according to reports in the Times, that Foreign Office officials were, and I quote, incredibly nervous about last week's military assault in Yemen. Driving the region's instability is Israel's horrifying assault on Gaza, which has now lasted more than 100 days. So rather than giving Israel the green light to continue its brutal bombardment of Gaza and risking a wider conflict, will the Prime Minister seek to de-escalate the situation and call for an immediate ceasefire?
Notice how there was no mention of hostages in that entire plea. You notice how it's always a one-sided thing. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that she hasn't mentioned the hostages, but you notice how it's always forgotten when they're calling for a ceasefire. It's not like both sides need to do this and both sides need to stop fighting, i.e. give up the hostages and talk about peace. No mention of that. It's just one side has to stop attacking a nation, effectively, that's attacked them. Let's continue, shall we? This was Rishi Sunak's response, and also MP Andrew Percy.
Prime Minister.
Perhaps the Honourable Lady would do well to call on Hamas and the Houthis to...
Now, I would like to obviously say that both of those things need to happen. It's funny to watch, isn't it? To see one side on one side of the conflict and the other side on the other side of the conflict, and neither of them can see each other's point of view. So this is going to tear them apart, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the Houses of Parliament falling apart, aren't you? Let's continue.
De-escalate the situation.
Andrew Percy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Too many people give a free pass to the terrorists who perpetrated the worst murder of Jews, and we've just seen an example of that, just as we saw examples of that on our streets this weekend.
Now, this isn't the only time that she's done this. She was also at the protest on Saturday. Here she is. Have a listen to this.
A few days after South Africa submitted its application to the International Court of Justice, I wrote...
South Africa, you know, the bastion of human rights. They're currently exterminating an entire race of people based solely on the race. So you continue to laud for that sort of thing. Should we continue to what she says?
To our Prime Minister, urging him, imploring him to support the application to end Britain's complicity in this atrocity. But what did he do? He continues to reject a ceasefire. He continues to sell arms to Israel. And on Thursday night, he took the dangerous decision to join the US in bombing Yemen. Shame on him! Shame.
Have you ever seen this lady? I call her that because I'm a polite person. Have you ever seen this lady get this animated for British people, or England, or Scotland, or Wales? Have you ever seen her this animated for any of that? Of course not.
Shame on him! Shame on him! Shame on him! So let me say clearly and loudly, I absolutely oppose that intervention, which risks escalating into an even bigger, wider conflict. It should have gone to Parliament, and even if our leaders refuse to learn the lessons of the past, let's never forget what this episode tells us, that we have a government that will bomb a foreign country to protect a shipping lane, one of the poorest countries in the world, yet refuses to call for a ceasefire to protect people from genocide. There
is a step to peace, and it usually means giving up your hostages. So you give up your hostages, tell Palestine to give up the hostages, we'll tell Israel to stop bombing, and then maybe you can have peace. Until that time, I don't think you're getting either. And I don't think you should be spending your time worrying about the other side of the world when you've got constituencies and people you're supposed to represent in this country. Am I wrong on that? Now, obviously, those comments got Zara Sultana a little bit in a twist. She got her knickers proper in a twist, is what I mean to say. Have a listen to this.
Previous statement, the member for Brigg and Goole implied that I had just, and I quote, given a free pass to the terrorists who carried out the October the 7th attack. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that claim is grotesquely untrue. My question to the Prime Minister in no way had that implication. I was calling for a de-escalation in the region and for an immediate ceasefire, and his accusation is absolutely untrue. In this House and elsewhere, I have repeatedly condemned the actions of Hamas and called for the release of all hostages. Moreover, the member's gross accusation is playing to a racist trope, implying that because I am a Muslim, I support Hamas. So with rising Islamophobia and racist tropes asking British Muslims to prove their loyalty, can I ask you for guidance on how to get a full retraction and apology from the member for Brigg and Goole?
Yep, what you do is you send off in the post in triplicate and you get back a two-finger salute as a response. That's how you do it. Mad ass. And now we come to Andrew Percy, the MP. His quite strong response, to the most part. Have a listen.
That point of order. Andrew Percy.
As loath as I am to engage in this silliness, let me be absolutely clear. Let me be absolutely clear to the Honourable Lady. Not only did I not reference her, I have on numerous, if she'd listen to the response, on numerous occasions I have said too many people have failed to call out what I think is unacceptable. I've said that before. I'm not going to stop saying that I think people have given a free pass on occasions to behaviour and have not dealt with this with a fair hand. That is an open point of debate. I have called people out on my own side for that. If she could sit here and listen to me, it has absolutely nothing to do with the thing. But I don't want to engage in this silliness. So I will say to the Honourable Lady, I have absolutely no intention of inferring at all that she is in any... Let me respond. That she is in any way in support of any of that. I'm sure she isn't. I never said that. I would never say that. But I'm also, Mr. Deputy Speaker, not going to not say what I think on issues in this House and call out what I think is on this issue. Too many people in this place giving a free pass to one side whilst not acknowledging the horrors that the other side suffered.
Thank you.
So there you go. It's interesting, isn't it, that she immediately jumped to Islamophobia, and you can't question me because that makes you a naughty, doesn't it? Very interesting. Now, obviously, she's calling for a ceasefire on Yemen. Now, this is another bastion of human rights, obviously, who fired on shipping. Now, what that will do is, if the shipping has to keep going around, it'll raise our prices and our cost of living in this country until it's unbearable. But she doesn't care about that. She just wants us to stop bombing the Houthi rebels. Now, let me just say this. The Houthis are not good people either. She seems to love, like Corbyn did, she seems to love the most extreme people on the planet. Let's have a listen to what the Houthi are, shall we? The Houthis are working tirelessly to restore slavery in Yemen. Nearly 70 years after the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and decades after the 1962 revolution in Yemen, the revolt called for liberation against all forms of oppression and slavery. Several local reports have confirmed that slavery witnessed a rise in Yemen during the past 4 years when the Houthis staged their coup against a legitimate government. Crimes linked to modern slavery vary from actual slavery and abusing people's poverty and hunger, forced marriage, human trafficking and the forced recruitment of children, women and African migrants. This is who she's defending, by the way. Yemeni activists revealed that since the coup, the Houthis sought to segregate Yemeni society into rulers and subjects, or masters and slaves. So this is who she's defending, them and Hamas. Didn't we go to war with the world, effectively, to stop slavery? And here they are, in our parliament, calling for a nation that engages in slavery to be saved from bombs that they initiated. You see why I'm a little bit animated? You know, I'd love to see these people on Labour's side get animated about our own people. You know, the people they're supposed to represent, like the working class of Britain. Not that extreme to want that sort of thing, is it? Considering they're supposed to be a party that protects and looks after the little man. Let me know what you think. I'd like to know your opinion now. Stay sane. I'll see you on the next one.